This is something that I like to do in Battletech, but it could equally apply to any wargaming system that you're currently playing. So I go into Battletech with a certain number of battle value, C-bills, whatever that's going to be. What do you want to play next week? Let's do a 5K battle value. We agree on units. Do you want to do combined arms? Do you want to do air support? Do you want to do artillery? Can we take infantry? We come up with a matrix, and you buy your stuff, and you show up next week. I've got a list. I've got a plan. But whatever that battle value is, I like to set aside, so if it's a 5K battle value game, I like to set aside maybe 600 battle value, somewhere around there where it's not going to take away from the focus of my list, the plan of my list, what I'm trying to do. But it's not going to take away from that, but it's got a little bit of a bite that I can buy some stuff. And I like to purchase a reactive unit. In this case, it's usually some hover vehicles. They're fast moving. They're relatively cheap for the guns. I can get some short range missiles, some lasers, medium lasers, really close in work. And they're not a ton of battle value. They're going to be mostly hanging back, which we did speak about in a previous Battletech video that I uploaded to the Battletech playlist. I want to framework this. You need to be out there earning. If I buy an Atlas and I commit to that battle value and it hangs back 10, 15 turns, parking somewhere, I'm not out there earning with it. So I need to be moving up. I need to be shooting. I need to be destroying. Yes, absolutely. But I'm taking a couple of hundred battle value. Not a lot, right? And that's going to be these reactive units where for the most part, they're going to hang out for the game and do nothing. Then they're going to zoom forward for opportunities. That's why I like to take hovers, because close-in hover vehicles, they can move up really fast. They're really cheap. I've got the medium lasers. I've got the short-range missile packs. I can do a lot of damage. You could take some fast attack craft, some warriors, and other type of VTOLs. You're going to look through. I mean, you could do this with some mechs too, but mechs tend to be a little bit pricey. I need to have a bite with this reactive force adjusted for battle value. So I could take, I could buy in with one Jenner, or I can get like 5 or 6 hovers. So I'd like to have those hovers. What am I looking for? So this reactive unit, generally speaking, modified by terrain, of course, it wants to kind of hang out in the middle of the hex map, back 5 or 10, back a little bit, set back near my deployment zone. So it's not in my deployment zone. It's not in the center of the hex map. It's pulled back, but it's not on the left or right side. Obviously, if there's some great terrain over to the left that I can park in, I'm going to go there. If there's a natural advantage, I'm going to go there. If it's just out in the open, I'm probably not going to go there. But the point is, if I dominate and hang out somewhat in the middle, I can radiate out. You could just think about this. If we take a fast-moving hover, put it down somewhat in the center of the hex map with that radius of projection of cruising speed, moving fast, I can be there, or is it flank speed? I always confuse the two. Whatever running is for the vehicle, I can be at most targets in one turn. So what am I reacting to? Well, in every wargaming system, but in Battletech too, we've got the plans, we've got the tactica, we've got the tools, we've got the talent. All my mechs are painted up and based. I'm ready to go. But occasionally, even with the best laid plans, crazy stuff happens. You fail a pilot check and you fall down. Legit, my Atlas fell down. I'm like, all right, no problem. Get up. Pilot check next turn. Fail. Pilot check next turn. Fail. Pilot check next turn. Fail again. At this point now, like I'm getting surrounded by enemy mechs. I failed because there was a light mech running by. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kick this light mech. I'm going to drop kick this light mech. I've got my Atlas, whatever it was, Stinger, Wasp, who knows, runs up there. I'm like, I'm going to drop kick this, and the damage transfer is like, I'm just going to axe kick it, doing that martial arts thing, give that axe kick and just split it right down the center. I missed. So I'm like, all right, pilot check, fail. And I couldn't get up. Then I'm surrounded by everything. Needless to say, I'm still, that was years ago. I'm still traumatized by that. I will not make kicking attacks. Tactically, they're good, but I'm so afraid to do them. Other times, stuff like just firing and I get hit first game and it's a headshot, A friend of mine introduced him to Battletech. First mistake was I put some autocannon 20s down on the table. We kind of had a mixed lance, a mirrored lance, where we each took a lance of similar mechs. Because I wanted it to be like, hey, try out some long-range missiles, try out some lasers, try out an autocannon 20, right? And just like see what we can do. So I'm running my Victor up to him. I think I had a Victor and a Dragon. He had a Victor and a Dragon. I run up. Victor's like, pow, right to the Dragon. Long range, I don't know, man. I needed 11s to hit, 12 to hits, 10 to hits. Bam, hit. Location, head. Bam, blew the head off. He's like, what do you mean I'm dead? We're 2 turns in. Now I'm like, bro, that's Battletech. He's like, this game is no good. So there's these moments in Battletech. Another time was my Karnov. Full disclosure, I said what it was. Karnov's zooming in, right? Usually use a Karnov to drop off some infantry, hot drop some infantry, get into position, move that stuff around, get key points, act as a spotter for my long-range missiles. But also for the lulls, sometimes I'll play the autocannon 20 variant. So I'm going in. It's just like an autocannon 20, minimal battle value. We're going down this city, and there's a Jenner there, House Davian Jenner, and I think like a Wolverine and something else. And just the doors open, that autocannon 20 drops, and I hit him with the strafing, and it was just like I lit up that block. I just like obliterated everybody at the gaming shop. Like literally things paused for a few moments because you could just feel the agony and the triumph. Things like that. So I illustrate that as an example. And I'm sure you've got tons and tons of examples in the comments down there. Crazy Battletech moments where the dice literally caused your game to pause because you're like, what the heck just happened? Another example, I got hit with something. I went night-night, right? I got hit in the head, went night-night, pilot blacked out like it's a catapult. 3 or 4 turns, I'm asleep. Another buddy of mine, we're playing clans versus Inner Sphere. I'm doing the Inner Sphere thing. Karnov drops off a whole bunch of infantry. I start swarming this Mad Cat. So we're swarming the Mad Cat, and I'm making these swarm attacks, making my way up the mech. And my opponent was like, okay, I want to smash the infantry off, right? You can kind of pat yourself down, just wipe the infantry off you. And he's like, well, I don't really have hands. So I'm like, can I do it? Because you have to have a mech with hands to do it. And technically the clanners don't have that. So we're looking in the rules, and he's like, well, I really don't have hands. I don't want to take advantage of the rules. And I'm like, well, like, your fist is a laser cannon, so you could just wipe stuff off, smash infantry off. I'm like, go ahead and do it. He's like, no, I want this to be like by the rules, by the book. I was fine either way. So he's like, I think we found it in TAC Ops, but you guys are great because like I put a rule out there that I've been spending like weeks to find, and you're like, it's page whatever, it's here, it's that, it's this, it's that. So I would have been fine playing it either way, but he's like, you know what? I will throw myself prone to the ground and roll around on there. So, okay. And he's like, Mad Cat's got some good armor. It's got some bite. So I'll take like, whatever, based on a level 1 drop in the tonnage, it's like, 5 hits to like 2 points of damage in 5 areas. Like the spread was like nothing. And I was pouring infantry on. I was pouring Karnovs, just dropping stuff off, swarming the clanners real time with like hundreds and hundreds of infantry. So he goes and does that, falls prone, takes some damage. It's like, okay, roll for the cluster hits, roll where? It's like head, and head. Well, actually, it was head. These dice are just awful. Toss them, roll the other dice, head. He took himself out on that. So there's these moments in Battletech. I've got that framework, and I don't want to kind of sidebar examples all day, but when these moments happen, I can't plan for them in Battletech, right? I'm not saying this is a Tactica. I can't plan for them. But if it's a big enough battle value game, usually around 5K, those of you into like mathematic models and quantum physics and all that stuff can confirm, if it's a certain battle value, and every turn in that battle value, we are performing actions that require dice rolls, moving up and down terrain, moving through certain terrain, taking certain shots, hitting certain things, then there is an X% chance that across the scope of the game, 3 or 4 times this event will happen. When that event happens, what do? Well, Well, if I've got this little battle value reactive force, we're not even talking about as a mech commander. If you make a mistake, not in the rules, but like you just don't move in the right place, or tactically you make a mistake, I want to have a little reserve to kind of zip out and confirm. That's another use for this reactive group. But the main thing is waiting for that moment when your mech shuts down, where you're like, no problem, I push the heat, I'll clear this, bam. Failed. Mech is shut down. Yo, no worries, because we're also doing some RPG stuff in this in between. And I got like a special Lost Tech computer thing, 6,000 that I'm going to reboot. Boom, we got to get a reroll, design quirk, whatever in the tech manual. All right, take your reroll. Fail. What? All sorts of crazy stuff. When that stuff happens, I can take my reactive unit and I've got something to act, and make that happen. So a little bit of tactica that I like to do. And again, battle value's got to be out there earning. So I'm not like, 5K battle value game, 2K reactive unit. No, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's 2K that would be sitting back, not really acting or contributing. It's got to be small enough that it's not missed and it's not going to impact your main list. But at the same time, it needs to be high enough to buy usually vehicles, combined arms, where you can get some dice, volume of dice on the table, push that forward, and take advantage of it.